If you could afford one.
Well, there's three parts to afford a house. You have to afford the down payment, you have to afford the monthly payment, and you have to afford the moving costs. I'm gonna go start from the simplest one, which is the moving costs, because many people don't factor this in. When you buy a house, you got to move in, and I'm not talking about the closing costs. You might have to hire movers, which are expensive. You might have to upgrade your furniture, which is expensive. You might have to upgrade the house, which is expensive. Factor that in. Then I want to talk about your down payment. People don't like when I say this, but I don't say what I say to make friends. I say what I say to help people be better with money. If you want to afford the house, you have to have at least a 20% down payment. That way you actually have some equity, some skin in the game. That way you can actually afford the house. The third part is you have to afford the monthly payments. Now, every bank is going to have a different rule for you. Banks have like the 28% rule and these other rules. I have.
Sorry, just on that last point, why do people not like it when you say that?
Because it's very hard to pay a 20% down payment. Housing is expensive. You want to buy a $500,000 house, you have to have $100,000 as a minimum for your down payment.
Right.
And that's extra cash.
Right.
Now, if we talk about the monthly costs, the simple way that I like to follow it is you have to have a system for yourself. You have to know how much money you are allowed to spend, how much money you need to be investing, and how much money you have to be saving every single month. Then just factor it in. So the way I like to look at it, a simple rule of thumb is something like a 75-15-10 plan, which says for every dollar that you earn from here on out, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend. 15 cents is the minimum that you invest. 10 cents is the minimum that you save. Now, let's do the math. If you know that you make, let's call it $100,000 a year, that means the max you can spend out of the $100,000 is $75,000. So if out of that $75,000, you can afford your mortgage costs, you can afford your food, you can afford your vacations and lifestyle, then sure, you can afford it. But if you can't afford that, then you can't afford that mortgage. And the reason why I like to go by this rule is because some people are going to say, I can live in a small house, I just want an expensive car and some nice vacations. Other people are going to say, I want a beautiful home. I don't care about the car and vacations. So now you can factor it all in there. How much can you afford out of that 75% of what you make?
Do you think people even know how much money they spend?
No.
I was thinking, I wonder how many people listening right now know over the last 6 months the exact figure that they spent every single month.
Most people, statistically, are living paycheck to paycheck.
So they're basically spending everything.
Or more.
Okay.
78% of Americans are living paycheck